Hi there, crafty pals, Louise with you. Thanks for checking out this Scraptember video. It is all about grid style layouts. And my favorite thing about Scraptember, I know I'll probably say this a bunch of times, is how well you get to bust your stash. So one of my favorite ways to store my pattern papers is kind of in a little bit of a theme. So you probably have a bunch of these 12 by 12 packets, and after I've sort of finished using a collection or a kit, I will store papers in these 12 by 12 packs. And for me, this is really just about being able to get to the supplies that I want or need really quickly. And so this particular packet is sort of those cooler colours, those boys, sort of blues, greens, teals, all of those sorts of patterned papers, so that I can really quickly grab something that coordinates with the layout. Now, I also then have 12 by 12 packets that have ephemera. I have one that has sticker sheets, one that has chipboard pieces. So this is only stuff only goes into those 12 by 12 packs when it's sort of in more of a stash type storage system. So nothing that I'm sort of new or currently working with goes in those packs. They will stay on shelves or in containers or just on my desk loose until I actually utilize it, or when I'm finished I will pop it away in these packs. So for today's grid style layout, what I'm doing is I started with using up this chipboard piece, which is a Cocoa Vanilla Studio collection from a little while ago, and I wanted to use the Fun Times Ahead as my title. So starting with that kind of led me down this inspiration to also get out this 6x8 patterned paper collection. It's for this, I can't remember the name of the collection. Someone can leave it in the comments and fill everybody in. But certainly it inspired me to pull out the matching pattern papers, which I had in a 6x8 pack. You can see I have heaps of these left. I hardly used any when this collection first came out, and that's going to form my grid style background. Now, the collection from Cocoa Vanilla Studio really lends itself quite well to wood grain backgrounds. So again, stash busting. Initially, sometimes I'll kind of reach for a white background, but challenging my creativity a little bit and going for the wood grain to coordinate here. And as you can see, what I'm sort of doing is trimming some squares to make my grid style background. I am then going to lay them out to give me a bit of an idea of where they're all going to sit, and then I'm going to distress all of the edges and use tacky glue to attach them. So you're not going to see this whole process. I am going to stop the filming, cut the video here, and bring you back once we start to get into the nitty-gritty of the layout. Now, I've chosen two photos, and these are actually non-sequential photos, so they actually don't relate to each other in any way. I purely chose them because they are of a similar sort of shape. So they're Master Cooper, and it really is just random images from his life. So there's no story or theme here. These are just two photos that I happen to have already printed in my stash that were of that similar sort of little bit longer and thinner, that I thought would overlap quite well and simply just tell a little bit of his story in sort of that real world, real life kind of thing. Now, because I have this chipboard sheet out and I'm going to use that, I also want to use quite a few embellishments off of there. So I want to try and I haven't chosen particularly camping themed photos or anything that coordinates perfectly with these photos, but I'm going to try and make it work. Now, because I have the fantastic grid style background, I'm going to need to separate out the photo layers and the embellishing and the title. So I need to give it what I would call just a little bit of an anchor. And so I'm going to cut this. Again, it's a wood grain paper. It's a lighter style paper, so it kind of just draws your eye and breaks that up between that distressed edge background and the important element, which is the photos. So punching some of these out, having a bit of a feel for how they go around the page. Initially I wanted to use like Fun Times Ahead, but I do leave off the ahead. I think Fun Times is just more of an appropriate title for these random day photos, and mostly I'm going to stick all that down with tacky glue off camera so it gives me a bit of an idea of where it's all going to be positioned. Off camera I've gone ahead and used a bit of adhesive to lock my title in place. I've also added some cardboard for some dimension behind the main cluster elements, again just to separate out that grid style background from the actual important part of the layout. Pulling out the matching sticker sheet. So again, you can see like these collections that I've had in my stash for such a long time. I hardly used any of it, and I still had plenty of collection left, which left me some great stash busting opportunities. Now, of course, grid style and distressed edges gives this little bit of, you know, kind of not grungy but messy, and so that's why I added some black splatter to go along. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.